हमारे जहन में उसको क्या था कि हम कश्मीर को अलग करेंगे, लिबरेट करेंगे, वही हमें मतलब इधर से सिखाते थे।
जब भी आप किसी का मर्डर करते थे तो क्या हमेशा अशफाक मजीद वानी का ऑर्डर होता था तब करते थे या अपनी मर्जी से भी कर सकते थे?
नहीं, अपनी मर्जी से मैं किसी को नहीं मारता था, ऊपर से ऑर्डर मिलता था, लीडर ऑर्डर देते थे कि
अच्छा, ऑर्डर दे किसी को मार दो, आप मार देते थे?
हाँ जी,
चाहे वो कोई भी हो?
कोई भी हो।
अगर वो कहता कि अपने सगे भाई को जान से मार डालो?
जी, मैं तो मार देता।
अगर वो कहता अपनी माँ को जान से मार डालो?
मैं तो मार देता।
The spine-chilling history of the Kashmiri Pandits shake people from their core when they hear or come across the narratives of what happened in Kashmir during 1990s. It happened under the government of former PM of India, VP Singh, with a major focus on Farooq Abdullah, the then CM of Jammu and Kashmir, and Mufti Mohammed Sayeed, who was the then Minister of Home Affairs. The story of Kashmiri Pandits still feels fresh to those who suffered the brutality of the Islamist militants and a militant separatist organization named Jammu and Kashmir Liberation Front, JKLF. Both of the parties' motive was to capture and rule on the Kashmir Valley according to their customs and choices. They believe that Kashmiri Pandits have outnumbered the Kashmiri Muslims living here from decades and are dominating them. I don't know, in some way. Because as far as I can see, Kashmiri Pandits were most tolerant and non-violent people and were living there under the right constitution, whether to say of India or of Kashmir, considering the section 370 which allowed Kashmir as a specially treated region of India and having a separate constitution, which was abolished from the practice in 2019 under the administration of current PM of India, Narendra Modi. Kashmiri Pandits went through a horrific and almost an holocaust situation in Kashmir in 1989, all done by the militants and especially the leaders of Jammu and Kashmir Liberation Front. Yasin Malik, who started the hate speech against India and lead the message to separate Kashmir from India, was the leader of JKLF in the forefront. However, the one who created the hell in Kashmir, which is called to be the heaven of India for Kashmiri Pandits, was Farooq Ahmad Dar, aka Bitta Karate, the one who killed Kashmiri Pandits in 1989 and forced them to flee from Kashmir. The organization of JKLF not only murdered and arsoned the Kashmiri Pandits and their houses, but also killed children and raped women, all done throughout the time of Exodus. But was it Exodus? These stories from the Kashmir of Kashmiri Pandits make your heart feel a gut-wrenching pain and to make you sob in the agony of what Kashmiri Pandits felt when this all were happening to them. Even I didn't know about the Kashmiri Pandits until I came across one of my seniors from my former filmmaking institute who recited a poem on it. The story of Kashmir was hidden from decades by everyone due to its intense graphic yet political nature, I suppose. Vivek Agnihotri's The Kashmir Files present the same narrative of the Kashmiri Pandits in a purely unfiltered and realistic ways, while taking creative liberty in a thing or two. The representation of the movie is blunt and straightforward, while keeping in mind that there is a vast majority of audience coming to the theatres, so there were no actual rape scenes in the movie, but a lot of gore and violence that can be hard to watch for some viewers who are not used to such kind of graphic content shown. I have to give props to Vivek Agnihotri to present the Kashmir's narrative to the big screen after proper research work done and interviews taken from the people who were there or basically has a first-hand experience. Vivek Agnihotri is known for his previous similar work done on the Kashmir Files, a movie based on the demise of the second PM of India, Lal Bahadur Shastri. He now plans to stretch this project further by making it a trilogy by introducing another edition named The Delhi Files. Something I believe that didn't work out well in the movie was the abrupt cuts and background music which created more of a blunder to feel the emotion shown in a particular scene a few times. Especially the editing was not apt as there were instances where I felt the sudden feel of a cut in the movie which obviously created a jerk for me in experiences the movie's storyline and emotions. One of the scenes had a background music which just get cut by the end of the scene with no fading out effect added either in the music to end exactly right at the end of the scene or getting merged in the next scene and then fading out for a smooth transition. But not putting a lot of spotlight on that only, movie's representation alone works so well that this will hardly matters while watching the movie. Having said that, I must give a special mention to the music of the movie filled with lots of heart-throbbingly inspiring and moving feels. I'm not talking about the themes or instrumentals as background scores, but the songs themselves. Songs such as Hum Dekhenge or the Kashmiri song playing in the background most of the time when people are suffering in some way, serving as a contrasting backdrop and adding to the overall intensity. Hum Dekhenge, by the way, is originally based on the poem written by one of my favorite Pakistani poet, Faiz Ahmad Faiz. On that note, please keep in mind that movie doesn't tell you to hate Pakistani but the people, Islamic militants and JKLF who did the brutal killing and violent attacks on Kashmiri Pandits. The screenplay is the major highlight and the technically apt part in the movie, as it provides you a perfect backdrop of seeing Kashmir's story through different fictionalized characters and their interactions and connection with the real life events of Kashmir and the real life individuals who played an active part in it. There is an IAS officer which shows connection with the Indian government and their administration and system, played by Mithun Chakraborty. Another is a policeman which shows the connection with the security of law and order, played by Punit Issa. The third one is a news reporter and a journalist which shows the connection with, of course, the media outlets and their approach towards their work or duty as a media person, played by Atul Srivastav. The last but not the least is a doctor who was involved in the treatment of patients during Kashmir's exodus and faced hardship from militants, showing the connection with the healthcare institutions, played by Prakash Belawadi. With a common man, a Kashmiri Pandit among all these friends who face the brutality and cruelty of militants and first-hand experience the horrific events of Kashmir, played by none other than Anupam Kher. This provides a perfect canvas for the director and screenplay supervisor to move the narrative forward with jumping back and forth to the past and the present, while taking full creative liberty to share the perspectives arising, such as the questioning and confusion of who's right and who's wrong, which is something portrayed through the character of Darshan Kumar, who plays the grandson of Anupam Kher. There were some other people with notable role played and amazing performances given, but we will dive right in the performance. Talking about the performances in the movie, each and every actor shines absolutely well. Mithun Chakraborty and Darshan Kumar interactions are well choreographed. The four actors playing the friend of a deceased Kashmiri Pandit friend were good in their work, but it was the man himself, Anupam Kher, that is worthy of a spotlight in the movie. Anupam Kher portrays the character of a Kashmiri Pandit who faced the agony of exodus through militants firsthand and went through an intense PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, in the aftermath of the events. The final scene of him taking his last breath and telling Darshan, that is his grandson, that how much he believes in the hope of things getting back to normal in Kashmir, while pleading that his remains must be spread in their original home back in Kashmir, is something so wonderfully performed by him. Chinmay Mandlekar, who played the role of Farooq Ahmed Dar aka Bitta Karate, has to be given applaud for his performance. I have to say that his control on how he has to keep his body language in check when playing this character was so intact. With the flickering of one right eye, something real life Bitta didn't had, I think. So I'm not sure what was the intention behind this particular detailing added on by Vivek Agnihotri to Bitta Karate. Acting by Darshan Kumar is notably worthy of praises, as he depicts the confusion of a young boy who's trying to figure out what was the actual story of Kashmir, and in this, who was the victim and who was the perpetrator. His final speech is something you will have to turn your ears to, as it summarizes the whole reality of the real and real life Kashmir story with a perfect dialogue given. Kashmir का सच इतना सच है कि लोगों को झूठ लगता है. There were other actors and actresses that performed well, but I won't be mentioning each. The Kashmir Files is a compelling movie and worthy of all the attention it is getting right now. It is one of the realistic movies made in Bollywood, with providing justice to the people who went through so much that we all can't even try to imagine being in their place. I try to put myself in the shoes of Kashmiri Pandit and what they must have gone through and felt, but I cannot do so because there is still so little that I too know about Kashmiri Pandits and their story, I believe. But as Mithun Chakraborty says, an insightful dialogue in the movie which goes like, टूटे हुए लोग बताते नहीं हैं, उन्हें सुना जाता है. We all can and must try to hear and understand Kashmiri Pandit stories. The Kashmir Files is in theatres right now, and for those who are planning to watch it on OTT platforms, as I understand the buzz for this and the houseful shows, it will not be made available too soon, and definitely not on Netflix, as the official rights are in the hands of Z Studios anyway. So it's obvious this will be made available to stream on Z5 only whenever the distributors will decide to. Something important to remember for the Kashmir Files is that it doesn't showcase an accurate timeline of the events happened in Kashmir with Kashmiri Pandits. Rather, it compiles everything that happened in a single feature, fitting it in the runtime of almost 3 hours of the movie. Creative liberty has been taken to showcase the events of Kashmir in one single feature film. So please don't take everything literally. Instead, do your own research if needed. Events are true, not the timeline. While I watched the Kashmir Files on 13 March, gone Sunday, editing this video right now, I can see the mass hysteria going on for the Kashmir Files, which is not bad, but I don't know what that holds for the future in the hindsight. That's it for my brief take on the movie The Kashmir Files. I'll be putting a few links to provide some educational videos to watch on this topic if anyone's interested. Have you watched the movie yet? How you felt about it? Let me know if I missed something or something you want to share. I would love to hear you out. Consider sharing the video if you like my efforts and subscribing to be connected with all the latest uploads. I'll see you the next time in another video. Bye bye.